It was Halloween night, and the air was crisp with the scent of fallen leaves and the promise of candy. My cousin Jake and I had been planning this night for weeks. Dressed in our best costumes, we were ready for a night of trick-or-treating adventure. Little did we know that the real terror would be lurking in the shadows. As the sun set and the sky turned dark, we began our journey down dimly lit streets, our laughter filling the air. The neighborhood was a perfect setting for Halloween, with cobweb-covered houses and eerie decorations. But as we ventured further into the heart of the neighborhood, we stumbled upon a house that sent shivers down our spines. The house was old, its windows boarded up, and the yard overgrown with weeds. Its gate creaked ominously as we approached. Jake and I exchanged nervous glances but decided to knock on the door, figuring it was all part of the Halloween experience. Our knuckles rapped on the wood and the door creaked open. A tall, menacing man greeted us with a crooked smile. He wore a tattered suit, and his eyes were cold, devoid of any warmth. "Trick or treat," we stammered, extending our candy bags. He reached into a bowl of candy, but instead of treats, he handed us 2 small black cards. Each card had a sinister crimson symbol etched on it. "You've been chosen," he muttered, his voice dripping with darkness. Confused and frightened, we hurried away from the house, not daring to look back. As we walked down the street, we noticed a group of men in dark coats watching us from a distance. Their eyes followed our every move, and a chilling realization washed over us. We were being pursued. Terrified, we quickened our pace, but the group of men began to close in on us. We took a sharp turn down a narrow alley, hoping to lose them. The alley grew darker and more sinister, and our breaths came in ragged gasps. We were trapped, with no way out. Suddenly, a car screeched into the alley, blocking our path. The same menacing man who had given us the black cards emerged from the vehicle. "You can't escape your fate," he hissed as the other men closed in, surrounding us. Fear surged through our veins as we realized there was no way out. The man extended his hand, revealing a glowing amulet with the same crimson symbol from the black cards. He muttered an incantation, and an otherworldly darkness enveloped us. The next thing we knew, we were standing in the dimly lit room of the haunted house. The walls seemed to whisper secrets, and strange symbols covered the floor. The sinister man circled us, his voice now filled with malevolence. "You are the chosen ones, and you shall serve our master." As the room plunged into darkness, the horrors of the night seemed to close in around us. We were trapped in a nightmare from which there was no escape. And that's when I woke up, drenched in sweat, my heart pounding. It was all a dream. The terror had felt so real, but it was just a product of my imagination, heightened by the spooky Halloween atmosphere. I sighed in relief, grateful it was all just a nightmare. But the chilling memory of that dream stayed with me, a reminder that Halloween could be a night of unexpected frights. As I lay in bed, I thought about the lesson I had learned. On Halloween night, be cautious of the strangers you encounter, and always stay close to those you trust. The chill in the October air was palpable as my friend Tim and I ventured out for Halloween night. At 12 years old, we felt a bit too old for trick-or-treating, but the promise of free candy was hard to resist. The moon hung low, casting eerie shadows across the suburban streets. As we walked along, the familiar sight of trick-or-treaters in various costumes put us at ease. Ghosts, witches, and superheroes roamed the sidewalks, filling the night with laughter and excitement. But that feeling of security soon dissipated when we spotted him. There, lurking in the distance, was a figure cloaked in darkness, a menacing presence in the shape of Michael Myers. The iconic mask, a cold and emotionless visage, sent a shiver down my spine. Tim and I exchanged uneasy glances but dismissed it as just another Halloween enthusiast. However, as the night went on, we couldn't shake the feeling that this Michael Myers was different. He was always there, watching us from the shadows, and we couldn't escape his gaze. It was like he had made it his sole mission to follow us. The unease grew, the footsteps echoing in our ears as we quickened our pace. Our laughter and excitement gave way to whispers of fear. We darted from house to house trying to lose him in the crowd, but he was relentless, always just a few steps behind. Finally, we decided to head back home, hoping that our sanctuary would put an end to this nightmarish pursuit. But as we turned the corner, there he was again, lurking ominously. Our hearts pounded in our chests and panic set in. With newfound determination, we sprinted towards my house, our feet pounding the pavement. The front door seemed like salvation, and we slammed it shut, gasping for breath. We locked the door and peered out the window, but Michael Myers was nowhere to be seen. Relieved, we ventured deeper into the house, trying to shake off the fear that still clung to us. It was late, and my parents had already gone to bed. The only light in the house was the soft glow of the TV, casting eerie shadows in the dimly lit living room. As we settled on the couch, still shaken by our encounter, a noise from the hallway froze us in our tracks. The distinct creak of a floorboard sent shivers down our spines. Slowly, we turned to see Michael Myers standing in the doorway, the pale mask staring at us. We were trapped. Panic consumed us, and our screams echoed through the house. But he didn't move. He just stood there, an eerie presence, watching us with those cold, lifeless eyes. The minutes felt like an eternity until my dad burst into the room, a baseball bat in hand. Michael Myers turned and vanished into the darkness of the night. The police were called, and they searched the neighborhood, but the man in the Michael Myers mask was never found. The terror of that Halloween night haunted us for years, leaving us with a chilling reminder that real-life nightmares could be far more terrifying than any ghost or ghoul. As Halloween approached each year, we couldn't help but wonder if he would return. The fear never truly left us. The lesson we learned that night was simple but profound. Be cautious, stay together, and never underestimate the darkness that can lurk behind a mask. Halloween is a time for thrills and excitement, but it's essential to stay safe and be aware of your surroundings. You never know who might be lurking in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. It was Halloween night, and I found myself home alone. My parents had gone to a late-night party, leaving me in charge of the house. I was 16, feeling too old for trick-or-treating, but not quite old enough to go out with friends. I decided to stay in, watch a scary movie, and enjoy the night with some candy. As I settled in, the wind outside howled, and the branches scraped against the windows, creating eerie shadows in the dimly lit room. The perfect setting for a horror movie. Just as I was getting comfortable, a loud knock on the front door sent a jolt of fear down my spine. I cautiously approached the door, heart pounding. As I peered through the peephole, I saw two figures standing on my porch, their faces obscured by grotesque masks. They wore tattered clothes and held buckets filled with what seemed like candy. The pranksters were taking Halloween to a whole new level. Relieved, I opened the door, thinking they were just playing a trick. But the moment I did, they thrust their buckets towards me, and a swarm of spiders and snakes poured out. I screamed, stumbling back, slamming the door shut. The grotesque laughter that followed sent shivers down my spine. Panic set in as I realized this was no ordinary Halloween prank. I rushed to lock all the doors and windows, but I couldn't shake the feeling that they were still out there, waiting. My phone was in the living room, and I didn't want to risk leaving the safety of my room. Suddenly, the power went out, plunging me into darkness. The masked intruders had cut the electricity. My heart raced as I fumbled for a flashlight, my trembling hands barely managing to switch it on. That's when I heard them, their whispers echoing through the house. Terrified and trapped, I knew I needed help. I called my next-door neighbor, Mr. Jenkins, the only one who hadn't gone to the Halloween party. He promised to come over immediately. I huddled in the corner of my room, flashlight trembling in my grasp. Minutes felt like hours as I listened to the muffled sounds of the intruders moving through the house, searching for me. The tension in the air was suffocating. My heart pounded like a drum, each beat louder than the last. Finally, the door burst open and one of the masked figures stepped into my room. My scream pierced the silence as I shone the flashlight into their mask, revealing their malevolent grin. But before they could approach, Mr. Jenkins stormed in, wielding a baseball bat. With a fierce swing, he knocked the intruder to the ground. The other masked figure, hearing the commotion, rushed into the room, and Mr. Jenkins fought them off, defending me with unwavering determination. The fight was brutal, but eventually, he managed to chase them away. With the house now silent, Mr. Jenkins called the police, ensuring our safety. I couldn't thank him enough. It turned out the prank had escalated far beyond a harmless Halloween joke. It was a night I'd never forget, a night when I realized the importance of having vigilant neighbors and a sense of community. As the police arrived, I clung to Mr. Jenkins, grateful for his bravery. But there was a chilling twist to the story. When the police unmasked the intruders, they revealed the faces of two people I recognized, former classmates who had held a grudge against me. The lesson here was clear. Even on a night of terror, kindness and neighborly bonds could triumph over fear and betrayal. As the police took the culprits away, I learned the true meaning of Halloween, a night when a community came together to protect one of its own.